I'm Representative Deb Eddy. You are here in my Olympia office. We're in the 2012 session. It's a short session. It's only supposed to last 60 days, and we're still hopeful. We have a daunting task this year, as we have faced for the last several years. And I want to explain to you today, in as simple terms as I can, what it is we're up against and why reform is important. In my last update, I talked about the question of sustainability and the fact that we need to quit balancing the budget just for 2-year periods, and we need to think about the 6-year trajectory for this state's fiscal outlook. So right now, we know that if you go out 6 years, we can anticipate slower revenue growth than has been in the past, but we know that our expenses continue to go up faster than the revenue. So this little gap here, we have to bring that cost curve down to meet our expected revenue, or figure out how to bring that revenue line up. So we hear a lot about revenue being subject to reform, that we have to do reform before revenue, and people get really into semantic debates. But here's what this is about. In 2008, we hit our high point both in expenses and revenues, with some expectations that revenues would continue to gain ground at a pretty brisk clip. In 2008, when the market tanked, we had to start making adjustments, and in the last 2 years, we have made 20-some% of our budget has been cut and trimmed back. So we're already a lot leaner than we were. We are here now facing in 2012 another 1 point, pick your decimal, 1.7 budget shortfall, depending on how much cash you want to leave in the till. And so what we will have to do this year is to identify a 2012 all cuts budget. Now that's pretty draconian, as you can see the difference between where we were, and these aren't precise, but the relationship is pretty accurate. And so why in the world would we talk about reform before trying to seek new revenue? And here's the role of reform. We know that at the state government level, we need to continue to find not just efficiencies, because we've already found more than a few, but we have to engage in creative redesign of how it is we supply services to the public. This is what the governor means when she talks about lean principles. It's a way of going in and looking at the way you've always done things and saying, we need to redesign how we do this. The other role of reform is to establish the policies that will give us that sustainability, bring the cost curve down, bring the revenue curve up over the long haul. Just yesterday in the House Ways and Means Committee, they heard a bill 2607, which requires a 6-year budget outlook to be tied to existing revenues. This is interesting because we do this in cities and counties as a regular matter. It may surprise people to find out that this has not been a regular part of state budgeting. So we need to do that. And finally, we need to show the public that we can actually deliver responsible government for the long term. And when we have regained that public trust, when we have shown that we can push back on all of the stakeholder groups, that we can make good policy decisions that aren't just pandering to, the loudest voices, then I believe we will be able to talk about new revenue. The governor's half-penny sales tax increase, which is just for 3 years, I want to note, is a very small part of a solution. It would only supply half of the cuts that we're going to have to make this year. So it is very temporary, requiring that at some point we either further bring down these expenses, or we figure out how to expand that revenue to provide the education, the infrastructure, the clean environment that Washingtonians say they want. So my contact information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. As always, it has been a pleasure to talk to you, and thanks for letting me serve.